Hi there. My name is Sherry Rothwell, and I am a holistic nutritionist of a few decades, and I'm also a third year medical herbalism student. And today, what I'm going to do is share with you a presentation that I did for one of my classes. And I decided to study microdosing Ozempic because that seems to be all the rage these days. And a lot of influencers out there are positioning it like it's natural. And I wanted to answer that question, is it really natural? And is there a place for using drugs like Ozempic for weight loss? So I'm just going to share my screen with you here and bring up my presentation. All right. So this question is of utmost importance right now because a lot of people are buying this drug without any medical supervision. And I'm trying to look at it from a place of, is there a place that we can put this in people's perspective of losing weight loss where it actually might fit in a positive way versus just looking at it like it's completely right or completely wrong, like putting it in some sort of a context that makes sense that can be helpful for people. Hopefully, by the end of this presentation, my goal is that if you were thinking of taking this, that instead of doing it as your first line um, choice, that it would be the last thing that you would do on your journey to losing weight. Because there's a whole bunch of different things that really need to happen before we go so far as taking a drug. Because at the end of the day, this drug only works with diet and lifestyle changes, anyways. And if we don't make those changes in a way that is sustainable, the minute you go off the drug, you're back to your same weight that you had before, but worse after this drug because it's going to waste away your muscle mass if you don't actually eat properly and keep up your actual muscle mass. So it's going to have the exact same net effect as fad dieting, where you lose weight quickly, but the minute you stop the diet, it all comes back on, but worse than before. So I'm hoping that most people would use this only after doing everything to give their body what it needs to lose weight and to be healthy and not skip to a drug like this without doing those things first. Because ultimately, we can gain health through making the right choices to lose weight that are supportive of our body. Whereas if we just use the drug, we may get temporary weight loss, but we can also not only get that rebound weight gain, but we can also get all these problems, right? So I think that we need to really have that informed consent. And that's one of the problems with now, if you just go do another, like do a YouTube or Google search about microdosing Ozempic, and you'll find that a lot of influencers are minimizing the side effects and minimizing the fact that it's a drug and calling it natural. So that's what we're gonna go in here. But so before we do that, as I bring context to it, I really do want to focus first of all that there are side effects. So even if you do everything right and end up using it later, you still have to know that this is not a natural supplement and it has a lot of side effects. So here's the known side effects. Again, these are the side effects at not the microdose, but the regular dose that you would get from your medical doctor. So I don't really know how I'm going to guess that if you're microdosing, if these, you're going to have these, less of these, or um, like less severity of these concerns. That seems to be logical. But let's just take a look at these things. So um, first of all, we're going to have a whole bunch of digestive issues because it's going to cause delayed gastric emptying. And that is going to cause nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, abdominal pain, indigestion, bloating, heartburn, belching, and things like fatigue, headache, dizziness, lightheadedness. And then there's also injection site reactions. But there can also be other serious side effects that require medical attention, like pancreatitis. These are serious problems, thyroid tumors, kidney problems, vision changes, and severe allergic reactions. And then there are other emerging concerns like gallbladder issues and vision problems, even blindness has been reported. Um, Dental health issues like dry mouth, gum disease, Ozempic teeth, which is decay due to the gastrointestinal side effects, and then Ozempic tongue, which is marked by a burning sensation and metallic taste in the mouth, and Ozempic face, which is characterized by sagging skin due to rapid weight loss. So these are the known side effects. This drug has been used since 2021 for weight loss. It was introduced onto the market in 2017. And so we don't have actually a long history of use of this drug. So there are bound to be a lot more side effects that are going to um, reveal themselves in time. Okay, so here's what got me thinking about microdosing. Is I saw people posting about it on my Facebook page, a naturopath, and then another naturopath who's quite famous, um, Dr. Tina Moore. And I just want to say, I pulled out this stuff, and I don't want to make anybody sound like they're bad or wrong or that they're doing the wrong thing, because if you look at Tina Moore's work, for example, you'll see that she cares about people's health and she's health conscious and she's a naturopath and she is doing what she believes is the best thing for her patients. And so this is where I found out about it. How I found out about it is that it wasn't this particular YouTube video here. Um, so this is Dr. Tina Moore. That's not the video that I found out about it. I listened to another interview where she was interviewed about it and how she came upon using it this way. And she tells a story about how her mother was really struggling with her health and she had some health problems herself that she just couldn't like get to the bottom of or get progress with. And so she started experimenting with it on herself and with her mother, and they were able to get past some really chronic health concerns with the effect of this drug. So that's great, right? Like if you're already doing all the right things and your body is like stuck in a certain way, and this happens to a lot of people. This is also why cleansing can be really helpful for all health conditions, including being overweight, is because the body kind of gets stuck in like holding patterns. And so if you just any intervention that can get that body out of that stuck holding pattern, you can start making progress. So any intervention includes a drug, right? So she has a lot of experience with this and is helping her patients now with it after experimenting on herself and her mother. And so that's my suggestion, is if you are going to go ahead and use something like Ozempic, that you do microdose it, because again, logic, you're going to have less side effects, but also that you work with somebody who is knowledgeable about how to help you not only with using the drug in a way that's safe for your unique health condition, but that they're also going to provide you with the knowledge you need for how to stay healthy while you're doing that, right? So, a naturopath is going to be giving you also the proper diet and lifestyle recommendations to go along with it. So, but on the other hand, just going and buying it yourself, like I don't even know if that's possible here in Canada, because these screenshots that I have here are from American companies, and from watching other influencer videos, it sounds like people are just buying it like at their local pharmacy. Like I don't know how that works, but anyways, Um, I'm from Canada, and that's well, the naturopaths here, to my knowledge, are not promoting um, using Ozempic. So it also was brought to my attention that there are like now these multi-level marketing companies that, or direct sales, or however you want to call it, that are selling all these peptides and promoting it on, Facebook and social media as like, a second income that you can have, to share with all your friends to get on all these peptide drugs. Um, and Yeah, become rich, become da 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 da. So, that's, everybody has their own feeling about multi-level marketing, direct sales companies, but that's not really the point. The point is that the way that this is being positioned across the board by all these influencers is that this is natural, because GLP-1, we do have something in our bodies called GLP-1, which is natural, um, that it's mimicking this drug, and that, or sorry, that the drug is mimicking this natural chemical in our body. So basically, what they're telling you is that this is natural because it's just like what our body produces. That is the part that I'm taking the most issue with, because it's actually not true. It's not just labeled in the pharmacy class because it's injectable. It's also not natural. It is not a molecule that is in your body. It's not even a synthetic version of a molecule that would be naturally found in like food or in your body. Okay, I'll explain more. But this is the part that is absolutely not true. This is a drug, and it is not found in your body, and it is not natural. So it's important to know that, right? Anytime we put something in our body that's not natural, there's probably going to be some sort of consequence to that. Now, it's about whether you're going to do it in a way that is going to minimize the toxicity or the negative side effects that all drugs have. Okay, so those things aren't true, but let's unpack it a little bit. So, first, we have to understand what is the natural GLP-1. What that stands for is glucagon-like peptide 1. This is something that's naturally found in our body. It's released after we eat food. It's naturally produced in our gut. It stimulates insulin. It inhibits glucagon. It slows gastric emptying, and it promotes satiety, right? So that's what people are basically using GLP-1 for, is to basically stop overeating, right? Um, but like I said, there are, because of the microdosing impacts that some naturopaths are experiencing with their patients. And so the small amounts is also helping them with other issues like inflammation, for example. So it's having these different effects, different than if you're taking the dose that you get from a medical doctor, which is the high dose, versus these lower doses. It's almost like it's being used in those high doses for weight loss, but and a lot of people, influencers as well, obviously, and naturopaths are using it for weight loss. But from my understanding of it, from like Dr. Tina Moore, for example, that she's using it to help with other symptoms of metabolic disease, the inflammation primarily, that people are getting good results with, to get their body out of that stuck holding pattern and getting into healing mode. So I'm just making that distinction because I don't think that, from that, it's almost like from that perspective, weight loss is a side effect of that, a good side effect of it, but it's being used in that naturopathic context to help with other health issues, and weight loss is a side benefit. It's not like, Dr. Tina Moore, for example, is out promoting it like this is all you need to do to lose weight. There's a lot more context to what she's doing. Okay, so that's what the natural hormone in your body does. It only lasts for a small amount of time in your body, minutes, and then it breaks down. However, what we have with GLP-1 drugs, I wish they wouldn't actually call it that, because it's basically like a GLP-1 drug like Ozempic, um, is basically got its idea from nature, right? It got its idea from how our body functions, but it's not a replica, a synthetic replica of it, like some of these other things that um, you can actually buy in supplements, that the reason why they're not considered drugs is because they are molecularly the same as the natural thing. And so they can be sold in health food stores, like something like creatine, for example. So I'm just going to go through some of these like concepts involved in under the umbrella of peptides, so that you understand the bigger picture here. Um, because if you if you're told that GLP-1 is just a peptide, which is like molecules of proteins, like if you take a long protein chain and cut it into smaller pieces, you get peptides. And all of our, like, there's a lot of different proteins derived from food that are peptides, right? Um, so we have long chain amino acids and short chain amino acids, which are food peptides. Then we have endogenous peptides, so smaller protein chains inside of our body, like the GLP-1 that I just mentioned. Also, insulin is a peptide. Oxytocin, our love hormone, is also a peptide produced endogenously, produced inside of our body. So we can get natural peptides from food, and we can produce natural peptides inside of our body. Then we can have processed forms of food peptides, right? So we can take collagen out of an animal, and then we can concentrate it and be sold it as a supplement like marine collagen, right? But it's still from a whole food source. Then we have something like creatine, which is also a peptide supplement, and it's synthesized in a lab from different compounds, right? So now we get into like, what's your definition of natural, right? So creatine is something you can naturally get from animals, right? Eating meat. But if you want, you can go to the health food store and buy it as a white powder. And when it's made that way, it's being made from raw materials that are things that we don't even know what they are, right? So, for example, creatine is made from sarcosine and cyanamide. And then they take that to create a molecule that's bioidentical to natural creatine that's found in the body and built by the body. So, found in food and built by the body. So that some people believe that if you can't get it in nature, then it's not natural. Some people believe that if you can take things from nature and then mix them together in a lab to create something else, which is something being synthesized, that's natural. So, I mean, I'm not going to really get into that um, in this presentation, but you have to know this to understand whether GLP-1 drugs are actually natural or not. By the way, a lot of your vitamin supplements that are also made just like creatine, they're made from other raw materials. A lot of those are materials that are taken from petroleum and purified, so that the toxic part of the petroleum is eliminated, and then you're left with these raw materials that they use to make drugs and supplements. There we go. Okay, so semaglutide drugs like Ozempic are not classified as a supplement the way something like creatine is, or vitamin supplements, um, because they are not molecularly the same. So if you take the molecule and you put them side by side, the natural GLP-1 in our body and the one that is a drug, they're not the same molecule. But more importantly, they also don't function the same in the body. So Semaglutide drugs are not just classified as drugs because they are injectable. That's not the truth. It's also because they are molecularly altered and structurally modified to function differently than natural GLP-1. So, natural GLP-1 is made by your body for short lasting effects to help you feel satiated, whereas the semaglutides like Ozempic are synthetic and lab modified for long lasting effects. So, you don't feel hungry for a long time. Okay? So, to call semaglutide drugs natural is completely misleading because they're not molecularly bioidentical to the body's natural GLP-1. They function differently and they have serious side effects. So now we get it, right? We understand the bigger picture of like what is a peptide, which ones are natural, which ones are synthetic, and which ones are um, completely altered and not natural. And our Ozempic and other drugs like that, our semaglutide drugs, are not natural. And that means that we now have, when we listen to all these influencers and go and start learning about microdosing, Ozempic, etc., we can't be fooled by this um, way of promoting it like it's natural. So the reason I'm putting this out is not only because it's I did it for my a school presentation, and everybody finds it interesting, um, but because I wanted to make this point because I don't see anybody else out there making it. And I feel like everybody is just believing that these things are natural because they're being promoted by influencers that normally promote things in the natural health field that are suddenly promoting microdosing with semaglutide drugs. So it's really important to have that informed consent, right? If you're going to do something, you should really know the truth about it and know what it actually is so that you can make an informed decision about that and understand that there are, like anything else, there's the known side effects, but then there's the down the line side effects that only time will tell. So we shouldn't go in with our eyes, closed and our heads in the sand about that. But let's look at maybe where this could be helpful. Now, let's say you've already done like a complete makeover of your kitchen, and your kitchen is only full of whole natural foods, and you're eating balanced meals. You're got, protein, fat, and fiber in every meal. And again, it's all based on natural foods. Let's say you've looked into your nutrient deficiencies. You've figured out what nutrients your body's low in, and you've now restored all those nutrients up to high levels. And maybe you've done something like you've worked on healing your digestion, because a lot of the inflammation that people have is based on, it starts at the beginning of not having proper digestion. You've changed your lifestyle. You're not allowing toxic things to come into your body. You've changed over all your personal care, your cleaning, your makeup, all these products, your hair care. So you're no longer getting toxins in. You've done a good gut healing cleanse of some sort. Okay, now you've addressed all the underlying causes of why you might be overweight. From the perspective of listening to your body's language, your body speaks to you through symptoms. If you have symptoms such as being overweight, then that's your body telling you something's not right and something needs to change. So let's say you've done all that and you're still not quite getting, to your ideal body weight, or your ideal level of health. And let's say that these microdoses do help with inflammation and other aspects of metabolic disease. Let's say they do. I don't know if they do from my perspective, in my personal experience, because I don't use that. And I never will use that. If I ever got to a point where I thought one of my clients needed that, I would be sending them over to a naturopath to use it, because it's a drug. It needs to be used with somebody who is trained in using like drugs in their practice, right? Um, let's say you've done all of that. Okay, but here's the point. Most people don't do all of that. That's the problem. Most people will go from their standard North American diet straight to these drugs to lose weight. And that's the problem, because you're skipping all the things that your body's actually asking for to be healthy. And once you get your body in balance and it's healthy, it naturally releases that body fat because it doesn't have any reason to hold on to it anymore. So for me, I'm thinking of this bridge strategy as for somebody who's already done all those things and needs just that little bit of help just to push their body into um, like getting some progress, right? But by the way, there's a lot of herbs that you can use to push your body to get that progress that don't have the side effects of this drug, okay, and have also other health benefits. I'll point out some of those before we end this little training, just so you have an idea. I can't obviously in this training go through all of them, but I think what I'll do is make a playlist for this topic, and we'll start going through more about this topic of you know, Ozempic or microdosing, or how to keep yourself healthy while you're doing this. Like, let's say you're like, I'm doing this already. You know, how do I get healthy, or um, how do I get off of it? Right? Like, how do you get off of these drugs without swinging back to being overweight again, and worse, having nutrient deficiencies and all this like muscle loss. Um, yeah. So, anyways, as a holistic nutritionist, I can help you with all those things. Um, so if you're at that point, I'll put some links in the description so that you can learn more about how we can work together. But yeah, let's do that. Let's get you off of it, right? Because you're not supposed to be on this permanently, anyways. So we'll do all those things that I mentioned that I believe everybody should do anyways in the first place. But most people, unfortunately, even natural health practitioners, don't really have the systems in their practices to really help people make deep diet and lifestyle changes, because it takes more than just a session with a person. It takes a lot of education. People need to learn and practice and embody these new skills of natural and healthy eating, and a natural diet and lifestyle. Essentially, it's what the human body wants. And we can't skip that. If we want to, be at our natural weight, then we have to eat natural foods. But here's some areas where I think it could be helpful. Like, let's say you have somebody that has a sugar addiction or something and just can't stop overeating because of that. This might be like a temporary strategy to get off of that like hamster wheel, right? Because the more sugar you eat, the more sugar you want. However, like I said, from the naturopathic perspective, from the holistic nutrition perspective, from the herbal medicine perspective, there's other things that you can do to stop sugar cravings. Um, but maybe let's say, people who you just can't get your head around that. You're just like not ready for a diet and lifestyle change. Maybe this could at least get you to stop eating sugar. That would be great. That would be, healthy. Um, Maybe it's a good bridge strategy for somebody who is thinking of gastric bypass surgery. I would much rather see people take microdoses of Ozempic than to do something so invasive like a surgery. But again, same thing. If you are thinking of gastric bypass surgery, have you done all the things I mentioned already? Or are you just going from like, just binge eating and eating garbage food and then wanting to go straight to a surgery? Because basically, like, every person who does that, who goes to the surgery but doesn't actually have that paradigm shift of eating the natural diet and lifestyle that the creator created for us, right? Like, we're like every other animal. We have a natural diet and a natural lifestyle. If you skip that, whatever weight loss um, that you choose to go down, like whatever path you choose to go down, when you stop doing that thing, you're going to end up less healthy, and also you're going to be heavier than when you started with. That's the part that is frustrating to me as a health practitioner, is that there's so much that people can do, but they just don't know that what those steps are. or they are afraid to embody a new diet and lifestyle because they associate it with the diet culture, which is restriction and counting calories and all these different things, which is not what I do at all. Excessive exercise, all these temporary things that people do. That's what they associate being healthy with. I remember myself because I was like that when I was younger as well. Um, so yeah, anyways, my mission is to help people to learn that there is another way and that you can lose weight naturally. And it's basically by putting your health first. Okay. So, and also for people who've done the gastric bypass surgery already, the, everything that I mentioned is something that I can also help you with so that you don't gain all that weight back and you can get healthier in the process of losing weight. Because essentially, that's what should be happening. To lose weight, you should be getting healthier. Most people think that they have to lose weight to get healthy, but that's not how it works. You could lose weight a lot of different ways that are completely not healthy. But if you get healthy, your body naturally releases that body fat because it doesn't need it anymore. Okay, so again, like anything, just like fad dieting, any kind of thing, a surgery or a drug used to lose weight, the weight loss only lasts as long as you stay on the drugs. When you stop using it, the weight returns. So we have to do something different. So here's the herbs that are some top herbs. Now, I'm not saying these are the herbs for you because everybody has a unique health situation. I recommend that you actually book a session with me or a herbalist to find out if any of these herbs would be helpful for you in your unique situation. But these herbs are herbs that actually help people with balancing their blood sugar. So they can be used as something to taper off drugs like Ozempic. Let's say you're on the regular medical dose, you could use them to taper yourself down. Or you're just watching this and you're like, I would like to lose weight, but I want to lose weight naturally. These are some of the herbs that we could use that have a similar effect of preventing like sugar cravings and preventing overeating um, based on the blood sugar issues that come with eating a lot of sugar and a lot of carbohydrates, right? So most people don't understand that even natural whole food carbohydrates are full of sugar. It's natural sugar. That's what makes them carbohydrates. So even eating a natural whole foods diet, if you're eating too many carbs, can block your weight loss. But here's some of the herbs that you can use. One of the things to mention as well is that they can interact with the drug because they have similar effects. So they can basically, with those overlapping actions, they can negatively impact your blood sugar, like making it too low. So if you are using GLP-1 medications and you're using herbs, you should actually be monitoring your blood glucose to make sure that that's not happening. Okay. So diet, lifestyle, and mindset first, right? So unless we're in an acutely dangerous health situation, drugs should be our last option, not our first option. Okay, so when people go on these drugs and their appetite is suppressed and they have the delayed gastric emptying, they're actually at risk for a lot of nutrient deficiencies. So if you're on Ozempic right now, or doing the microdosing, these are the nutrients you need to be conscientious of, making sure that you're eating the right foods so that you're getting these nutrients. So if you're eating less food when you're losing weight, the food that you eat should be the most nutrient dense food possible so that with the small amount of food you're eating, you're getting the most nutrients. That is going to be how you prevent these nutrient deficiencies. It's not just eating what you always ate and then adding a drug to it because it's going to make you sick over time. And then, of course, muscle, right? You have to build muscle. So you want to make sure you're getting your protein in optimal amounts, plus doing something that's going to restore your muscle mass. Because the other aspect of this is when you lose muscle mass, that slows your metabolism down. That's one of the reasons why people have weight regain after they stop their like excessive calorie counting, reduced food plus excessive workouts and whatever. And half the time they get to the point where their body doesn't even build that muscle. because their body's in such a state of stress that it's like literally triggering their excess, like their body to produce excess cortisol, which is catabolic, and it starts breaking down your muscle. So that's why you hear about the people who eat like a bird and they exercise like crazy, but they don't even lose any weight, and sometimes they're gaining weight. That's why. It's because they're in such a state of nutrient deficiency and the state of stress from the excess of exercise that it's actually backfiring and having the opposite effect. So they're gaining more fat and losing muscle like crazy. Okay, so if you eat these nutrient dense foods while you're losing weight, they actually address the root causes of being overweight in the first place. So you're going to get healthier while you lose weight. Um, but yeah, if you've been on any of these, if you're on these drugs or if you've been on them, you need to actually do extra work to restore your body's nutrient stores to get healthier now, to restore your health, right? Because if you were doing this, if you were on these drugs and you weren't aware of this, right now you're in a depleted state. Okay, so I'm just gonna explain why even if you do use drugs while addressing your diet and lifestyle and mindset, it also is going to help you while you're on the drugs. So basically, my intention is not to say, oh, everybody needs to become my client, and because I know that not everybody's going to do that, and a bunch of people are still going to take this drug. So I'm telling you this to help you not have as negative side effects from doing this. So filling your nutrient stores of those nutrients that I mentioned is going to make the drug less depleting to your body. There's going to be less side effects because you have a healthier body, so your body's going to tolerate the drug better. And there's also less chance that your extra body fat and is going to come back on the same way, or that you're going to develop health problems as a result of using the drug. Or when you stop the drug, you're not going to gain back as much weight because you've actually not let your body get as unhealthy as the person who just eats the standard North American diet and takes these drugs. Um, so basically, we have to be patient with our bodies, because the healthier and more balanced we become, the less cravings we actually have. So it's going to be much easier for you to taper off this drug and maintain your results if you focus on your nutrition and your muscle mass. Okay. And again, if you do that, you're going to be creating all this health in your body that instead of getting more and more depleted over time. And basically that's, like I've already said it, but when you put your health first, you're basically giving your body all the nutrients that it needs to function optimally. And if every organ and system in your body has optimal nutrients to draw from to be able to function optimally, then your body can heal and regenerate. If it doesn't have those nutrients, it doesn't have the raw materials that it needs to heal and regenerate. So it's really just not about losing weight to get healthy. It's really about getting healthy. And when we're healthy, our body releases that body fat. Okay. And I know this from firsthand experience. Okay. I'm not gonna, oops. That was me setting my alarm to get up in the morning. But I got up like way earlier than I expected. So here I am doing this presentation before I go out and get to work. So basically, I created this diet myths guide, which you can get for free. I'm going to put the link below. I'm going to share with you more myths that people have about dieting that are keeping them stuck on this hamster wheel of like yo-yo dieting. And it's, yeah, the link's going to be in the comments, in the description. You can get access to it there. I'm just going to share with you actually the download page. I'm not going to, what I was going to say is I'm not going to tell you my like whole story here about my own personal experience. I'm just going to show you. And then you can look at some of my other videos if you'd like to. Sorry, I'm just trying, I need to get this up on the page here to show you this download page. Oh, here we go. Okay. Um, yeah, I used to be obese myself. And so I understand how to help people lose weight without dieting from the perspective of being a holistic nutritionist and being in the natural health field for 30 years plus. Um, and I'm also in my third year studying medical herbalism as well. So now I'm bringing herbs into my practice, which are really great because just like I mentioned, how people are like using Ozempic in microdoses to help their clients to get their body out of stuck states so they can get into healing mode. Um, you can use herbs the same way to support the body to get out of that place, those holding patterns that we have, right? And then, like I also said earlier, cleansing is another big one that can really help. But of course, that cleanse needs to be one that is a match to your unique body and where you're at. There's not one size fits all diet. There's not one size fits all cleanse. There's not one size fits all herbal, program. You know, the only place we use one size fits all is in the drug Western mentality, right? But here you can see, this is me. This is like one of the only pictures I have of myself obese. And it was like me, like cuddled on the couch with my cousins. Um, and yeah, I just, at that time in my life, I did not really allow pictures. And if I saw them, I would delete them because I was so embarrassed about how I looked. Um, and this happened, to me when I was already health conscious. And that is because of insulin resistance, which is something that people think of only associated with diabetes, but insulin resistance is a scale. Okay, so if you have hypoglycemia at all right now, if you can't, get between meals without snacking, for example, or you're getting shaky or hangry, you have hypoglycemia and you're somewhere on the scale of insulin resistance. Um, so, anyways, that was me. And I had to figure out how to lose weight naturally without dieting because I was like, I'm a holistic nutritionist. Like, I'm not going to be counting calories and like hanging out at the gym. Like, that's not my way of living, right? Like, that's not a culture that I want to be part of. Um, and so I, not to say there's anything wrong with going to the gym. Like, definitely, if you like going to the gym, you should definitely do that because that's really healthy for you to be building muscle. But I just didn't want to like be that person who was like, on the treadmill every day and like, um, just like counting calories and all those things. Like, it's just not how I want to live my life. I'm super passionate person. I've got so many interests. Like, I do not have time to like make my body in that, like, how it looks the focus of my life. So I was like, I have to find another way. So basically, if you go to some of the other videos on my channel, you'll see me explaining, what I did and how I did it and how I help other people do it. But I just wanted to let you know I do have this diet myths guide, and you can opt in to get it. It's really short. It's not going to take you like any more than like 10 minutes to read it, but it just goes through some of the things that people commonly do to lose weight that don't work. And basically, so you understand why it's not going to work, and then giving you ideas of things that you can do that are often the opposite of those things to support your body to get um, into this past those weight loss blocks essentially, because everything that you do to diet is stuff that actually creates weight loss resistance because of the negative effect that it has on your body, and it actually puts your body in a holding pattern because your body goes into protection mode when you do this to yourself, right? When you starve yourself and you like exercise like crazy and like force and push your body like that, it's literally putting your body in protection mode. And that is, we have, when we're in those, it's a state of stress, right? So it's like fight, flight, fawn, freeze, right? I look at this as freeze, okay? See this girl here? I was 36 years old. I'm 49 right now. And this woman here was so stressed. Okay. She was overburdened. She was carrying not just physical weight, but emotional weight. Okay. So my body was reflecting what was going on the inside. what was going on for me inside was being reflected on the outside. It's a form of protection. Okay? And our body cannot get into healing mode to when it is in fight or flight, freeze, fawn. Okay. We have to get ourselves into the parasympathetic state, which is digest, rest, relax, and heal mode. And when we do that, when we're in that healing state, our body can go back into balance. And when it's in balance, it releases that body fat. So that's how natural weight loss works. It does not happen quickly necessarily. You can get, some initial quick results with things like cleansing, um, or, just dropping that initial water weight from stopping eating sugar and excessive carbs. But it just takes time. But the beauty of it is that you get healthy in the process, and the weight loss that you get is permanent because it comes along with a complete paradigm shift in lifestyle and diet change. And it's super empowering because essentially you're learning how to take your health into your own hands. All right. So I just, yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to say. I wanted to share this presentation with you. Hopefully, it will help you on your weight loss journey and help you to make an informed decision about whether or not you want to use drugs to lose weight or surgery. And if you've already done that, hopefully it gives you some idea of what the road might look like to come back from that and to actually put your health first and get permanent weight loss instead. All right. I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.